Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another video. Today, we're going to be talking about ganking, which is a bit of a controversial topic because, let's face it, everyone hates being ganked. Even I hate being ganked, and I gank a million people a day. Maybe not quite that many. But the point being, it's something you're not expecting, it's something that isn't really fun to have happen. It's just like, it's a trip to the graveyard when you are killing mobs or, doing your own thing. So, let's just talk about it for a minute. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of ganking. Because at the end of the day, ganking has been around in World of Warcraft before BGs were. Ganking was the original PvP. There was simply world PvP. And of course, people would go to Taran Mill, people would be out in the world, questing, doing their stuff, and world PvP would happen. And then people started making world PvP happen, which is when ganking came into play. Ganking is obviously deliberate world PvP. It's seeking someone out and choosing to kill them for pretty much your own amusement. So, whenever BGs came out, that basically started the decline of world PvP just a little bit. People started getting used to instanced PvP zones. They got used to being prepared for PvP before the PvP happened. But instead of like always being prepared, instead of always being on guard on a PvP server, people started getting used to the concept of them being ready to PvP before it was okay to PvP against them, if that makes sense. So you've got BGs, and then Arena comes out in BC, and people get even more entwined in that concept of instanced PvP zones. World PvP just kind of starts to die out. BC and, to an extent, early Wrath of the Lich King were probably golden days for world PvP, in my opinion. And after that, as instanced BGs, as you got all these different PvP zones and PvP BGs, arenas, etc., all these different places where you'd sign on to PvP rather than looking for it. As that happened, people's want, their reason to world PvP kind of died out. There were other places to get their PvP. And just keep in mind, while all these instanced BGs and arenas and all these PvP zones that you sign up for, while these are all coming out, and while PvP as a concept is changing so much, world PvP as a fundamental concept has not changed at all. It stays a constant throughout WoW history. World PvP just doesn't change. So just remember that. Really isn't that much of a reward for world PvPing. There just isn't. You get a couple of honor kills, you get the satisfaction of maybe a rage whisper or two, and at the end of the day, I mean, it's just that. It's just a kill, and then it's done. There's really not a lot of reward, but it is fun, and to an extent, it does take the monotony out of PvP in general. World PvP is one of the only reasons I've been coming back to the game so long, because it's a way to create your own fun. There is simply nothing like killing like 2 or 3 people and then jumping epically off a cliff and gliding and then jumping and killing another people. You know what I'm saying? There is so many different scenarios for PvP, different unique scenarios that could happen in any location in the world, but you just don't get those kinds of epic plays in battlegrounds and arenas. I mean, you get the finer skill-based moments, you get the big plays where the polymorph goes into the whatever, and who really cares, It's been done before, but world PvP, there's something about it that keeps you coming back. It just stays fresh. It's always random. It's always fun. And that's just my take on it. Anyway, back to the con side of ganking for a minute. The Timeless Isle opened up an entirely new can of fish when it comes to ganking, I guess. Because previously to Timeless Isle, there's only been a couple of places where you could kill your own faction. Of course, Gurubashi Arena, the Dark Moon Fair Arena, and if I'm not mistaken, that's it. Because I'm sure I would have found a way to kill my own faction if I could have. Trust me on that. So basically, this is the only place where being able to kill your own faction has been such a primary part of a PvE zone. And I think it's really interesting that they chose to do this. Bringing such an old school concept into the current tier of content is great. Personally, I think it's great. It's a lot of fun for me, but looking at it purely from an outside perspective, you have so many new players. And when I say new, I mean people who haven't been playing as long as I have. Now, I've been playing since the end of Vanilla. About 3 weeks before BC came out is when I started up. And when I say new, I'm talking like people who maybe tuned in at the end of Wrath, Kata, Pandaria even. Like, one of these new expansions where world PvP wasn't such a core concept, where it wasn't very prevalent at all. And you've got all these new players coming into this new tier of content with an old school concept such as world PvP, and it makes them so mad. This is what I've been building to this entire video. People get so mad when you gank them nowadays. And I think this is because of what I'm calling the permission complex. Do I have permission to duel you? Do I have permission to wargame against you? Do I have permission to arena against you? Oh my god. Whatever happened to the good old days of not asking to stab someone? You just kind of did it. You just kind of ganked someone without worrying whether or not they cared about it. Call me a heartless, bitter old veteran player of World of Warcraft, but I enjoyed the days where I just ganked someone and they took it like a man instead of acting like, oh, you didn't have permission to kill me, I was killing mobs, I was doing this, I was collecting a chest, I was doing that. Who the bloody hell cares, mate? You're in a world PvP zone. People need to realize that just because they haven't given you permission to kill them doesn't mean you can't kill them. And people on the Isle doing your PvE stuff, maybe just wear a little bit of PvP gear, or maybe, if you're in full PvP gear, wear a little PvE gear. It might help. Point being, probably needs to be a little less rage for world PvP. It was once a very, very fun activity, and it should remain that way. Have fun with world PvP. Don't have a huge rage at whoever killed you. Respect the fact that they took the time to seek you out and kill you with their free time. Take it as a compliment. Who knows? I'll open up the floor. What are your thoughts? Let me know. And don't forget to leave the video with a like if you enjoyed it. This is Merc Out. Cheers.